Right. Is my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, right.
Yes, sir.
So, as the today first class of the Power BI, so we'll be studying about, let me open the notepad. Right. Yeah. So when you look at this Power BI course, so let me give the brief introduction of the course that we follow, Power BI course. So this Power BI course will be dividing this Power BI course into four parts. That means we can call it as four sections. Okay. So in the first section, we will be discussing about Power Query. Okay. Power Query. And after completing the Power Query, we'll be moving to Power Pivot. Next, the third section, we will be discussing about Power View. And fourth section, we will be discussing about Power BI service. Okay. So these are the four entire course curriculum. It may be 40 to 50 hours. Total course will be divided into four parts. In the first 10 or 12 hours, we will be discussing about Power Query. So what is meant by the Power Query? With the help of the Power Query, we will do ETL processing. What is meant by ETL processing means we will try to suppose if you client gives a data for you. So what is actually general I said in the demo class, what is the use of Power BI? We will connect to the data given by the client, and with the help of the data, and we will use some visuals which are there in the Power BI desktop. From that you will create some visuals and reports and will share it to the client. Generally as a Power BI developer, when you get the job, you will connect it to the data given by the client. From the data, by using this Power BI interface, by using this Power BI desktop, this software or tool, you will create some visuals and you will share to the client. So in the first step, if you in order to work on the data given by the client, first you need to process the data. Okay, you need to convert the data into some organized format. For that, you need to clean your data. Those processing of the data, we call it as ETL processing. That means E means extract, T means transform. Sometimes the data may be not in a structured format. By using some menu-based options which are there in Power Query, we will transform the data. And once the transformation of data in L means load, you will load the data. So entire this ETL processing we will be discussing in the Power Query. And one most important thing to do this ETL processing in most of the other tool, you will be writing the code. So in the Power Query, there will be no coding is involved. Okay, just you will use some options, menu based options. With the help of menu based options only, you will try to do the ETL processing. That means if you don't have an idea on coding language, then also you can do the ETL processing in the Power Query with the help of some options called as menu based options. These menu based options they are calling as GUI. What is meant by GUI? The full form of GUI is graphical user interface. So by using the options graphical user interface, by using this menu based options, we will be doing the ETL processing. Okay, that is the first 10 or 12 hours of the classes we'll be discussing over here. Next step we call it as everybody is able to hear my voice, right? Please anyone confirm. Is my voice is
Yes,
audible?
sir.
Yes, done. That's
Yes,
good.
sir.
Okay. Next step we'll be discussing about Power Pivot. What is meant by Power Pivot? In the Power Pivot, like while connecting, suppose the client is giving you the data. So in which form they will give the data? They will in and client is supposed storing some data in the database. In which form he will store the data? He will store the data in the form of tables. Okay, tables. So suppose you have one table one, assume. So we have one table two. Think the client is storing the data in table one, table two, table three. So three tables are there. Now think that you are trying to create one visual you are trying to create by using the data which is present in table 1. That means in the table you have some columns, in the table 2 you have some columns, in the table 3 you have some columns, but you are trying to create one visual by using the data which is present in three different tables. That means in this table you have one column, you are taking that column. In this table too, you have another column, you are taking that column. With the help of the data which is present in the two different columns, you are trying to create the visual. Suppose region wise sales is their example. So if the region is in table one column and suppose sales in the table two column, if you try to create a visual by taking the data which is present on two different tables, first, in order to create that visual, you need to build a relationship between these two tables. That means we need to connect the relationship between these two tables. So those type of building these relationships between the tables, we will be discussing into the Power Pivot. Okay, this is the basic introduction. This Power Pivot, we will be discussing it in more than 10 or 12 or 13 hours, we will be discussing. But the funda is when you load different tables, with the help of the data present in the two different tables, try to create a visual. First, you need to create some relationship between these two tables. Suppose if you're creating the visual from table 2 and table 3, but because this visual is depending upon the data which is present on two different tables, right? So you need to connect these tables by using some common ID. Okay, so those type of building the relationship, managing the relationship between the tables, we will be discussing about, or creating the, we can managing, or simply managing, or we can call it as creating relationships between the tables. So the type of this creating the relationship between the tables, we are calling in the Power BI data modeling. We calling it as data modeling. So this type of the data modeling concept we will be discussing in case of Power Pivot. So in the data model, you have different types of schemas. So that I will discuss what is star schema, okay, what is snowflake schema. In the data model, you have these concepts. What is galaxy schema? So these type of all data modeling concept we will be discussing in case of this Power Pivot. Okay. And apart from that's why if you don't try to create the if you don't try to create the relationship between the tables, and if you create a visual without creating the relationship between the tables, then the your visuals will go wrong. That's why building the data model is a very important concept in Power Pivot or in Power BI. That's why this data modeling, they are calling it as heart of Power BI. Okay. If your data modeling is perfect, then only the visuals made by you in the Power BI desktop will come accurate. So the data modeling concept we will be discussing in the Power Pivot. And apart from that, in this, most important concepts we will be discussing with DAX calculations. This is very important. So 95% of the Power BI will not involve any coding. 95% we will not write any code in the Power BI. But only there is, that's why Power BI, when somebody asks, they will call the Power BI as no coding or low coding tool. Why they are using the term low coding? Because at some place we will use some formulas to get the results that we want. So that calculations we call it as DAX calculations. So this DAX calculations also we will be discussing as a part of Power Pivot. And the person who is having the knowledge on some Excel, okay, it becomes easy for them to understand. But still, if you don't have any knowledge on the Excel, as we starts from the scratch at the zero level, then you can able to understand the DAX calculation. So this the only persons when you get the job, if you face any problem, you may face the problem with this DAX calculation only. But for this we will be dedicating lot of amount of the time, and we will be discussing each and every concept with the detail in the DAX calculations. Okay. Next, third one. So we have created, you have cleaned the data. So you have second step, you have established the relationship. Third one, we call it as power view. View means the name itself, it called visuals. So here with the in the power view in the next classes, we will discussing how to create visuals, or we can call it as how to build the visuals and reports. We will be discussing in the power view how you create the visuals by using different graphs. Okay, the graphs, or by using different charts, we will try to create the visuals, and those we will be studying in the power view. Okay. And the last one, once you develop the report, you will publish. Once you have created, suppose you have connected to the data, you have done the data modeling, created the relationship between the tables, and you have created the visuals and the reports. And what is the next step? Next step, you need to share that report to the client, right? So to share the report, to give the permissions for sharing, or that means you can publish the report. First, you need to publish the report. Publishing of the report, sharing of the report, giving permission who to view the report. Okay. And there are lot many things we will be discussing. So that we will be discussing in the Power BI service. So this is the entire more than each class, like each section will be discussing more than 10 hours. So this is the entire course of Power BI. Now, in the first, I will be discussing about this Power Query. In the first 14 or 15 classes, we will discuss about how to clean your data by using some menu-based options called as Power Query. That's why Power Query, we call it as a powerful ETL tool, which is present in the Power BI. Now, my first question is, first, in order to work on this, let me show the live example. First, in order to work on this data, first you need to install Power BI desktop into your system. Once you install that software only, then you can able to work on it. Now, as a first class, I will try to explain how you install Power BI desktop, okay? And what are the different methods are there to install the Power BI desktop, okay? I will explain you two methods. So first method is, suppose in your system, suppose you have, if you have Microsoft Store, if this Microsoft Store system, if it is installed in your system, then downloading the Power BI desktop will be very dead easy. Okay. So suppose in my system, Microsoft Store is there. What I will do is first you need to open this Microsoft Store if it is there in your system, right? Once you open this Microsoft Store system, there will be one options you will be visible. That option we call it as, when I drag this, search apps, games, movies, and more here. Then here you need to click on the cursor and click Power BI desktop. Just type as Power BI desktop. See, once Power BI desktop you type, see, this is the logo of Power BI desktop, which will be appear over here. Power BI desktop app. You need to click on that Power BI desktop app. Once you click on Power BI desktop app, for me, it is showing as open. It is showing me as open. But if Power BI desktop is not installed in your system, instead of showing the option as open, it will show the option as download. It will show an option as download. So once you click on that download, automatically the Power BI desktop will be installed in your system. Okay, it will be installed in your system. That is, then you can ask me, sir, why For you, why it is download option is not showing? Instead, why it is showing you the option is showing as open? Because already the Power BI desktop, see, I worked on many times. Already this Power BI desktop is opened in my system. So already I have Power BI desktop. I have already installed to explain the classes to few students. That's why it is showing me like that. Okay, that is the one of the process to install. How you can go? Simply you can type it as Microsoft here. Go to the Microsoft Store system. Okay, here I will try to minimize this. Let me close this. Yeah. See, Power BI desktop, if you type, this Power BI desktop will be appear over here. Just you need to click on the download. So that is the first step. And there is another step that you can install the Power BI desktop into your system by going to the Google browser. So what is that step? First, you need to click on any Google browser. Type you can type it as Google. Okay, the Google in the search items. So already I have Microsoft Store system. Just I will type it as, you can go to browser and Power BI. You need to install Power BI desktop, right? You can just type it as Power BI desktop download. That's it. Click on enter. Once you in, click on Power BI desktop download, you need to come to this first one. See, download Microsoft Power BI desktop from the official site. So you need to click on this link. See, I am clicking on this link. Once you click on this link, you need to come down. See, it is showing an option select language as English. So for me, the default language, it is coming as English. If by any chance, if you have the language on some different Bulgaria, something, any other language, you need to select that language as English. Okay. So once a language is selected as English, you need to click on this download. Okay. Just click on. Once you click on the download, it will show you these options. Choose the download you want. Whether you want Power BI desktop setup underscore x64.exe, which is 796.3 MB size, or if you want to download Power BI desktop setup.exe 745.7 MB. They are the two versions it will be popping out for you. In this, you need to select the first one. This one, 796.m3 x64ex. Just you need to click. Once you click on this, the download option will be enabled for you. So just click on the download. Once you click on this download, based upon your file size, it will try to download into your download section in the local desktop. So I'm trying to download it, right? See, when you're trying to download, see in the downloads, this Power BI Deck setup 64, it is trying to download. Why it isn't explained why coming as 4? Because while explaining the previous batches also, I tried to download many times. Already 3 times I've tried. So that's why it is showing as 4. So see, because depending upon the size, see out of 796 MB, it is loading 240 to 250 MB is completed. That means it will take 2 minutes time to download. See 45 seconds left. That means it will take 1 or 2 minutes. So as a first class, I expect everyone, if you, because in order to practice this, if you need to first have a laptop for sure. Because if I explain you, 99% of the people can understand because I start from the basic. But if you want to enjoy the Power BI and if you want to enjoy the classes, I request everyone to purchase the laptop in the first week itself. If you have some financial problem, any issue, try to purchase laptop within a week. Okay. If you practice day by day, then the concept will becomes easy for you. Okay. Once you just listen the classes, I will share the recording to you. By going to the recordings, you have to do practice by yourself, then it becomes easy for you. See, once this download is completed. Once download is completed, you need to click on this open file. See, it is open. So for me, what happens once you open that file, it will show the English and next. Okay. So the step is already for me, Power BI desktop is installed. I've opened many times. Just you need to click on next, next, next. It will appear for 2 or 3 times. And finally, this button will show after clicking on 3 or 4 times next, this button will show as finished. Just you need to click on the finish. Your Power BI desktop will be installed into your system. Why I am not clicking on the next? Because already Power BI desktop is my installed in my system. I cannot download it twice. But for you, if you click on this next, it will show. Do you want to allow this for me? Because already Power BI desktop is installed in my system, so I'm not trying to load it again. But for you, if you click on this download section, it will open the next. So it's like installing a app in your mobile. Just you need to follow the suggestions. It will show 2 or 3 times. It will show the next option. So preparing to install. See, just you need to click on next, and finally the final button will appear as finish. Once you click on the finish, the Power BI desktop, see like this, install. I accept this terms and agreement. It will need to come. Just you need to click on next. The one more thing you need to click on next like this. So finally it is trying to ask you to install. Ready to install Power BI Desktop x64. Once you try to click on the install, the Power BI Desktop will be installed in your system. So these are the two ways that you can install the Power BI Desktop into the system, which is very easy process. Now you can ask me a simple question. Sir, you have explained me there are two ways to install the Power BI Desktop. We have discussed. Okay, what are the two ways? What are the first way? We try to install the Power BI desktop from Microsoft Store system, right? Microsoft Store system. Second, we try to install the Power BI desktop from Google browser. So that means online. And one more thing, sir, you have click on how we can confirm that Power BI desktop installed in my system. Just you need to come to the search button. You need to click on this Power BI desktop. If you click on the Power BI desktop, if this icon appears in your search items, that means then only that Power BI desktop will be, it is a confirmation that Power BI desktop is installed in your system. Okay, but why I have not clicked on final install button? It will throw the error because in my system already Power BI desktop is installed. Okay, right. So there are two ways that I have explained. In the first way, we'll be installing the Power BI desktop through Microsoft Store system, and second way we can install through Google browser called online. So what is the difference if you install the Power BI desktop through Microsoft Store system? What is the difference if you find that if you install with this Google browser online? So if anyone has attended my demo session, I have explained in the demo session clearly, right? So in month by month, in every month, this Microsoft Store System Power BI, it will be adding some new features into your Power BI desktop. Some way it will change, some new options will be coming to the picture. So it will update in order to sustain the competition. It will add some, at least one or any feature to that Power BI, that Microsoft for Power BI interface. It will add some new features. Okay. So that if you install through Microsoft Store system, suppose if you are in July, in August, if it is adding some any new feature, it will be automatically detected when you down in the Power BI desktop, when you download through Microsoft Store system. So updates are automatically get updated when you install the Power BI desktop through this Microsoft Store system. But when you download through Google browser online, it will capture the updates till date when you have installed that system. Suppose you have installed, suppose we try to download the system through this Google browser on which date, like we followed this procedure, right? Right now we are in July 14th. So up to July 14th, what are the updates there? Those updates only will be captured. Okay, those updates will be captured. But in the next month, if Microsoft is installed, if you adding any feature into your system, then those updates may not be captured when you download through Google browser. Then what is the solution for it? Again, you need to uninstall your Power BI desktop, and again you need to reinstall it in the next month. But every month you need to reinstall it. So that is not a good procedure, right? Okay. So I request everyone, if there is a chance, if your Microsoft Store system is there, then try to download into Microsoft Store system the Power BI desktop through. But if you don't have, you can download the Google browser. But as the time progresses by month on month, you try to reinstall the Power BI desktop, as it is a very simple procedure, because then it will be easy for you get a tool updated. That's why the Power BI, since launch from the 2017, it will add some new features, okay? Because then only it will try to sustain in the competition. It will look at the competitors. They will analyze the competitor tool. So how they are moving in the market. So in order to fight with them, in order to have some innovations like for to lead the competition, it will add some new features by the R&D team will do the research to add some new features. So you see the Excel, right? When you use Excel 10 years or 15 years back, now you see the Excel, how many developments are done in the Excel. Previously, you have very basic Excel. Now with the Excels, we are trying to relation, even Power Query is also there in the Excel. There are different versions of Excels are coming that in order to sustain the competition. That's why the Excel which were launched very long back, some 50, 100 years ago, but still Microsoft Excel is there in the market because they are adding the new features to it. As Power BI is also a Microsoft product, so definitely it will be there in the market for longer years because Microsoft Store is itself a brand. Okay. Now you now you have understand how to download through Microsoft Source System and Google browser. Now the next question, how to confirm that your Power BI desktop is installed your system, and once we open the Power BI desktop, how it will look. That is the very important thing that you need to understand. Once it is done, just click on Power BI desktop. Type Power BI desktop. See, this is the Power BI desktop. See, once you open the tool which you have installed, so it will open this interface, Power BI desktop. So this type of the interface will be visible for you. Okay, fine. Now I want to open the I want to create one blank report. Just I want to see how the interface looks. So once you install and you open the Power BI desktop, you need to come here and you need to click on this blank report. You need to click on the blank report. Just type it as click as blank. Once you click on the blank report, so this is the interface that it will be visible for you. See, this is the Power BI desktop. So you need to, if any pop-ups are coming, try to close. Yes, I want to view the files later. Okay, right. So this is the general Power BI desktop, which will be visible to you. Right. Now, now let us understand in the first class how this Power BI desktop will be in like looks and what are the different options which are there. First, in order to learn any tool, not only Power BI desktop, you need to understand end to end what are the different options are there and how it is useful. So that is will be the basics. Directly we should not go and enter study the class and enter into the technical concept. It becomes very hard for everyone. So the first one, let us understand how this Power BI desktop interface looks. Now what I said in the first class, with the help of Power BI desktop we can connect to the data which is given by the client. Okay. Now let us think, for example, the client is storing his data in the Excel. Okay. Suppose some sales data is stored. Okay. Now generally when you look at the Power BI desktop, we can connect the data from usually from here. This we call it as get data. Just you need to click here. So common data sources. These are the data sources that you can connect. What is meant by data sources? Data sources is nothing but the place where the organizations will store their business information. Okay. The place where the organizations will store the business information or where the organizations will store their business data, that is called as data source. Suppose if some of 5 students are added, I'm running weekend and week batch. I need to maintain data, right? So suppose 5 bench. So I first at the end I will take the data. Who is the student? Like when did they join? Have he paid the fee? What is his due amount? Just I will try to maintain one Excel sheet. So that is a data source for me. The Excel is a data source. Now, when you look at some big, larger organizations like Flipkart, Amazon, DMart, anyone, so there will be a lot of transactions will be happening for in a seconds, like in minute, many people will order. So they will store, they may store in the data in a database in the SQL server. They will store in databases in the SQL server or Oracle databases where they will store the data in the form of tables because there the data source file size is very huge, right? For me, as only 5 people are joining fire in a batch, for me generally 10 to at the end of the when start the coaching, usually 10 batches, 10 students will be joining my course. So for storing this data, I will not go and purchase the database and will store, right? So I will store it in some Excel sheet. So the place where the organization will store the business data, we call it as data source. Okay. Now I want to connect to the Excel workbook. So this is the place. Not only this, you can connect to Excel, data flows, data servers. These are the different sources. SQL server. You can connect to test. You can connect to web. That means you can get the data from online sites. Like you can connect to the tables in the Wikipedia also. That means link. From online also you can pull the data. When you click on this more, you see you can connect to JSON, PDF, SQL Server database, Oracle database, SAP HANA database, many data flows, SQL, Azure. You can connect to Power BI dataset, Azure DevOps. Not only this, see hundreds of the data source that you can connect. Okay. Now let us study now how to connect to the Excel. But once first time if you open the Power BI desktop, you need to understand in the middle of this body, there will be four this import data from Excel. This is the interface that will be appear for you. What is meant by import? Import is nothing but getting the data from the outside source. That means getting the data, extracting the data. Suppose if you store, you might just store the data in the Excel. I will go to this here in the suppose in my desktop. Like I will go to the Power BI desktop over here. Like suppose assume my data is stored in the form of uh, in some suppose in the Excel. I will go here. I will cancel this. I will click on no. I don't want to carry with the installation. Yes. Yeah. Suppose in the desktop, my sheet. Suppose I have connected this the data. I want to get the Excel sheet which is stored over here. This sample superstore data, something it is there. This in the desktop, it is there. So when I open this file, sample superstore one, it is there, right? See in the Excel, it is there, the data. I see in this sample superstore file, I have one table called as order table. That means order sheet. This information is stored. There is another sheet called returns. This information is stored. In the people, this information is stored. Now my requirement is I want to connect to the data. So as it is a Excel, so here you can click on from import data from the Excel. If you click on here, you can connect to the data which is stored in my desktop. So if you want to connect to the Excel, you can click on import data from Excel. Okay. Suppose if the database, suppose the client is storing the data file is huge, he might be storing the data in some SQL server. So the client is maintaining some database. And how I can connect import means getting the data, how I can connect to the data for the SQL. So for storing the data, he will maintain some credential, right? The client will be sharing you the credential, user ID and some password. So you will enter the user ID and password. That means those are called as credential. With the help of that credential, you can connect to the SQL server where the client is storing the data. So in order to connect to that, you can click on import data from SQL server. Something there's a third option called as paste data into a blank table. So sometimes if you work on a very some simple data set and if you want to create the tables manually within the Power BI desktop, if you want to create some manual tables we can create the manual tables in the Power Query within the Power BI desktop. And if you want to connect to the data, that manual tables, you can click on paste data into a blank table. So this is the option will be available for you. And last one, use sample data. Suppose think that you don't have any data right now, but you have installed the Power BI desktop and you want to do some practice. You want to do some practice. This Power BI Microsoft itself, it has provided some sample data. So in order for a person, new person, in order to practice, so Microsoft inside only in the Power BI desktop, it has stored some data. So that is called as sample data. You can connect to the sample data. Okay, this is very important. Suppose if you want to connect to the sample data, so out of this we can, I will show how to connect with this all. And this sample data, this is there in the within the Power BI desktop, right? I want to use the sample data for my practice. Okay, just you know, try to click on use sample data. Once you click on use sample data, there is an option will be enabled for you, that is called as load sample data. Once you click on this load sample data, the Power BI desktop, the data will be loaded into your Power BI desktop. Okay, just try to click on here, load sample data. See, it is connecting. Right. Once you click on the load, these options will be enabled for you. First option, we call it as financial. That means this, what are the tables which are present in that Excel, it will show. It contains financial table, it contains sheet one. So out of this, I want to load this financial table. Think. So if you want to load the tables, first you need to check this box on financial. Once you click on financial, segment, country, product, discount. So what are the data which is present inside? That data will be appearing here. This is called as preview section. So it has segment, country, product, discount, manufacturing, sales, like this data will be there. Okay. Now you can click on this and you need to click on this load button. Once you click on this load button, this data will be loaded into your Power BI desktop. Just you need to see. Once you click on this, you can say this data contains, it contains segment, country, some product data, some discounts are there, some how many units are sold, what is their manufacture, what is their price, manufacturing prices, what is their sales price, what is their total gross sales means total sales, discount, how much discount they have given, what is the sale, COGS means cost of goods sold. By looking at this, and we have profit column. By looking at this, you can say this is some sales data, that is a financial data. So that's why it is, they are mentioning it as financial. So this data is related to the financial. So just you look the tables, what are the tables or columns are there. When you click on this load, the data will, which is there, will be installed, will be loaded into your Power BI desktop, and you can work on that particular data. So I'm creating on load, right? Once you load the data, see it is loading. Depending upon file size, it will take. If it is only 700 rows, it has loaded into a, within seconds it has loaded. Okay. Now the next question you can ask me, sir, I have connected to the data loaded, where I can in the this Power BI desktop, where I can find the data that I have loaded. So in order to look at the data which is loaded into your Power BI desktop, you need to come on this section called as data section. See, you have this section called as data section. In the data section, you can find the data which is loaded into your Power BI desktop. See, we have loaded the financial table, right? This financial table will be appear over here. And once you try to open, expand this button, try to expand. See, these are the columns that we have seen, right? Year, sold, segment, sales price, discount, country, cost of goods sold. Whatever the data which is there, what are the columns which are there in that table? If you expand that button, you can see these are the columns which are there in this table. So whatever the data that you have loaded, it will appear in this data section. Now you can ask me, sir, you are showing the tables and columns, but I want to see what the information which is stored inside the tables. I want to see that what you have shown before. So in order to see the data in the tabular format, in order to see the data stored inside the columns, if you want to see, you need to come to the page, say called this called table view. You can come to the table view. So right now the Power BI desktop once you load this view called as a report view. Okay, report view. This is a general interface. But if you want to see the data which is stored inside it in the tabular format and what type of the data is stored in tables, you need to come to here. You need to click on this table view. Just click on the table. Once you click on the table view and you can expand, you can see the table in the data section. You can find what are the columns. Now I want to see and what is the data stored inside the columns also you can find. Suppose if I want to see the data in the country, just click on this country, automatically your cursor will go into country. So Germany, France and Mexico, these countries data is there. If you want to go to the discount, click, see you will go to the discount column and this is the data. Month name, if you go here, see in the month name. So if you want to see what type of the data is there inside the table, so you need to click on this table section. Okay. And if you want to go to the normal report view, you can come over here. You can click on this report. Right. Now the data is loaded. Now suppose if you want to create a one graph, okay, and the center point that you see here, right, from here to here, this center part we call it as report canvas. So this is the center area where you will try to create the visuals. So this area we call it as report canvas. Okay. In the report canvas, once you go to the data section, one on the left side you will have this in the data is there. They will call it as data pane. Okay, data pane. In the left side we have visuals, right? Visualization pane. This pane, 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 we call it as visualization pane. What is the use of this visualization pane? So as a Power BI developer, you will use this data given by the client, and by using this data and by using these visuals, you will try to create the visuals and you will create the report or visuals here, and you will publish the reports and share it to the client. Now, how you can create the visuals? In order to create the visual, you need the data. And you need to create the visuals, you need to have some graph. So you will select this graph. For that, you will add the data and you will try to create the visuals. And you will publish the report and share it to the client. This is very simple. Now I want to show I want a segment wise sales. I will create some graph for you where this is the segment is there sales. I want to create a segment wise sales. So I want to represent it in a pie chart, for example. Okay, in the Power You will be discussing about more than 10 hours of class, but the basic I will give you how to create one graph. I want to create segment wise sales in a pie chart. How you can select the pie chart? You can come here, you can select the pie chart. See, chart is selected. Now here you want segment wise sales. Just click on segment. The segments are added. If you click on sales, the sales is added. This one graph is created segment wise sales. See each segment you have different type. If I somewhat zoom it or wanting to see, these are the different segments, government enterprises there. What is this sales? And this graph, I don't have any border, right? How to create the border? So if you want to create a border, if you want to add the border, you need to first click on the chart. To the chart, we want to add the border, right? Now, in order to add the border, first you need to format that visual, right? Okay. So once you click here, you need in the visualization pane, there is a middle option called as format your visual. So from here, you can try to format your visual. You can add borders, you can add colors, anything. So I will click on the format visual. Once you click on the format visual, two options will be enabled for you. First option, we call it as visual. So these options are specific to the visual that you select. If you select the pie chart, these four options will come. But if you select the table chart, this option may differ. If you select some donut or matrix visual, these options will options will be specific to the chart you have selected. Okay, this will change dynamically. Now there is an option of the after the visual, there's some options called as general. Okay, these properties, title, effects, these options are constant for every visual. If you select a pie chart, donut chart, like if you select bar graph, funnel chart, if you select a waterfall chart, ribbon chart, for every chart, these general options, the name itself general means these are constant for any visual. So if you want to add the border, you need to come to the general section. So you are adding the border means you have adding some effect to the visuals, right? So you need to come to the effect section, right? Click on expand this effect. Once you come here, there is one option called as visual border. By default, initially this will be in the off condition. But if you click on, see the border will be added over here. So like that, you can create the chart. Now I want to convert this chart. I don't want to the pie chart. I want some it as a some table chart or some I want it the form of table. So again, don't go and select the table and do the process. If you go, you can do this process. You can select the table, and again you can add a segment like this segment, and you can add the sales. You will get it. See, you will get in the segment wise sales. So same, you got it in the table chart. But if you want to do that, instead of doing this lengthy procedure, that shortcut for creating the visuals, like if you want to create other charts. So if you want to delete, you can click on these three dots. If you click on remove, that visual will be removed. Now I want to convert this dot into table chart. Okay, if you want to convert it in the same visual, here if you select this visual which is highlighted, the pie chart is highlighted. If you click on the table visual, automatically that will convert into table. And if you click on donut chart, automatically that will convert into a donut chart. And if you click on pie chart, automatically it will convert into pie chart. But I don't want here. I want here in the separate table chart should be created over here in separately. So how you will do it? Just you click on this chart, click on Control C and click on Control V. See, a chart will be created. Now what I will do, I convert this pie chart. If I want to convert this pie chart into table chart, select this, click on table. So it will convert into table chart. So these borders will be automatically added. Again, you should not go and repeat the process. And if I want to convert to donut chart, click on this Control C and Control V. Now, if I want to convert that into a some donut chart, see, automatically it will be converted into donut chart. If I want to convert into some bar chart, Control C and Control V. You can click on this bar. It will be converted into bar chart. Now for this government, for everything sales is there 5.25. Here I am not able to find the values, right? Those values I need to appear. Those values we call it as data labels. How you can add the values to it? Select this visual. Where you have to format the visual, where you need to go? Format your visual. And when you come here in the visual only down, there is an option called as data labels. This is off, right? Just you click on. See, you are getting the values. It is there in some data labels. It is there in some millions. It is coming in the, as is the bar chart, it is 5 million, 5 millions, 3 millions, 42 millions. Like this, you will be 53 millions, 5.25 something is 50. It is coming in millions. And you can change the data labels. It is up to you in the coming classes. If you want to change the values, if you don't see values, it is on, right? If you want to change the values, if you want the numbers, see, it displays as auto. If it is auto, it will come in millions, but I don't want in millions. I want to represent in some thousands. It will come in thousands like this. It is up to you for our understanding. Let us keep in the millions only. So why I have created this? These visuals we will be discussing in the Power View after 20 hours of the classes. But why have made this visual a very basic visual? That means this is the central area where you can create the reports. So the body, this is called as report canvas. In the report canvas, by using the data given by the client, And by using the graphs which are there in the Power BI desktop, by using this both, you will try to create the visuals. And you will, if you want to publish, you can publish here and you can share it to the client. So this is the center part is called as report canvas. Okay. Now I want this different segments are there. So now what I will do, I will try to add one slicer. So the meaning of the slicer you need to understand. So I am adding another visual called as slicer. See, this is the slicer I want to add. In the slicer, what I will drop here, in the slicer I want, you are analyzing what in all graphs you are analyzing segment by sales, right? Segment, segment, segment. Now I will try to drop. You can drop that, you can select the segment and you can drop here, or if simply you can select the segment, automatically that will come and settle here. Now what is my requirement is, the use of slicer is, for all visuals I want to see, I don't want to see all segments. I want to see only this government segment, government, here also donut chart government. So you can select the slicer visual and you can click on this government. Where you have different, just if you if any click on any one item, see all visuals will show the sales related to the government only. See government, sum of sale, government sales in the table government. Here also in the bar chart it is showing government. And if you want to select two, I want to see government, I want to see the channel part. You can select on control button, government and channel part. You can select. See, you are informed government and channel partners, government and channel partners. If you want to see the enterprise information also, click on the control and click on the enterprise. See, government information, enterprise channel, government enterprise channel, government enterprise channel, government enterprise channel. And if you want to remove all filters, you can, there is an option called clear selections. So all the selections will be removed. So that is called as slicer. Slicer means you can slice the data. That means you can break the data. This is the importance of the slicer. Okay. So now in the Power BI, that it is very dynamic. See, so you are clicking on some government slicer here, automatically all the visuals within the reports will change dynamically when you use the slicers. Okay. This is the area in the center where you build the report. We call it as report. Okay. Now I don't want the slicers over here, but I want to break the data. Okay. So I am removing this visual over here. Okay. But here by using the slicers, you have applied some filters. But before, when the visualization pane on the left, you have one section called as filter, right? From here also, you can filter the data. That is my intention I want to say. Suppose I want to drag the field. So what are here you are assuming segment by sales, right? I will take this segment sales, just bring, select this, and you need to slowly drag and drop here. That's it, sir. Done. Now what I will do, for all this, I want to see only see same government-wise sales information I want to see of all that. Just you can select the government over here. See, for all the visuals are changing to the government because you have applied in the filter section, you have applied the filter on government. So all the filters relate to the government. Along with the government, I want to see the channel enterprise. You can click on the channel enterprise. All visuals, so government and channel enterprise, government and channel enterprise. All these visuals will automatically change. If you want to see the enterprise, just click on it. See three, government, channel enterprise, government. Like this, you can apply some filters in the Power BI. So this section we call it as filter section. This section we call it as data section, or simply they in the Power they call it as data pane, where you can connect to the data, where you can load the data, visualization pane, from where you can build, create, we can drag the charts. And this is called as values are there. No? This we call it as field pane. Here only we will drop the values. Okay. So if you now you can say you have applied the filters, or how I can remove the filters. You can remove the filters. You can apply. See, you can come here. There is one option called as clear filters. If you click on clear filters, the filters will be clear. That is, the filters are used to filter your data. If you want to close this, you can close. If you want to close the visualization pane, you can like this. And if you expand, this is expand button, it will appear. If you expand this, it will appear. Okay. Like this, you can have the filter concept over here. Now this section, if you select this segment by sales, right? So you have selected segment and sales. The fields that you are selected over here column, where you are dropping this particular place, right? So the place you are dropping their fields, this we call it as field section, FIELDS, field section. Pane, visualization pane, field section, filter pane, and this one we call it as report canvas. For everything, I will share the notes, report canvas. And this view we call it as a report view. And if you want to see which data which is present in the columns, you need to click on this table view. You can see that is called as a table view. And below down you have one model, right? This is model view. That means whatever the tables that you loaded, it will be that tables you can see over here. It is called as model view. See, you now you are loaded only financial one table, like which is there in the Power BI desktop itself. That table will be appear over here. Okay. Now if you load now I want to load another table. We have seen we have connected to the data which is already shared by which is already there in the Microsoft. Now I want to connect to the data source. See here you have this sample superstore data which is there, right? I want to connect this file which is there in my desktop. How I can connect? In order to connect the data, see this is the option from where you connect to the data I have said, right? Click on here. And what is this? This is a Excel sheet, right? So this is the Excel sheet and this is the data which is there. Orders table, we have some data. Returns table, we have some data that we have seen. Now I want to connect to the data. How I can connect to the data over here? You need to click on, say I will come here. This here, create data. That is Excel sheet, right? You need to click on Excel workbook. Okay. In the Excel workbook, so in the desktop, I have what sample supers data is my file name, right? Sample superstore data 1. Just you need to select that file. Once you select the file, you need to click on open. Once you click on open, see, you will see orders table, people table, returns table. That are the three sheets which are present over here, right? Orders people. I want to load all these sheets. The sheets in the Excel sheet will appear as a tables over here. And if I want to load all the tables, all the sheets, just you need to click order table. It will show what is the information which is there. Orders table is. And if you click on people, it will show what is the information there in the people. And if you click on the returns table, it will show what is the information panel. Now, if you want to all load all the sheets, just click on all and click on the load. Once you load, click on the load, see the data is loading. It will be loaded. Now, how you can confirm how the data is loaded? Where you need to come? You need to come, there is data pane, right? In the data pane, see order table, people table, return table. That table will be appear. Now, if you want to see what are the columns which are there, you need to expand the table in the order table. So this many columns are there. Just we have seen. Okay. When you come to the people's table, so these are the two columns are there. When the returns table, these are the two columns are there. So this is how you can connect to the data. And once you connect to the data, this is the general Power BI desktop. This is the report view. This is the table view. Now we have loaded three tables, right? That table, if you go to the model view, you can see the tables which are there here. See, I'm clicking the model view. We have loaded three tables, right? See, people table that is appearing over here. Returns table that is appearing over here. Financial table that is appearing. So different type of data model tables are there. Table view means you can see the table. Report view, you can see the reports. So this is the basic introduction that you need to understand. Okay, now in the next class, I have said the first part we will be discussing what? We will be discussing about the Power Query, right? This is a part Power Query. So in the from the Power BI desktop, from the tomorrow we'll start with the Power Query. So next 14 or 12 hours, we'll be discussing only on this part called as Power Query. So from tomorrow, I will explain you. This is a Power BI desktop, right? From Power BI desktop, how we can go to the Power Query and how you can make the transformations that we'll be studying in the next class. And what we have studied in the today's class, we have studied about what is the general introduction, what is the course curriculum that we will be following for Power BI course, 4 sections, and what is the use of each section. We have studied very roughly, orally. And the second step you need to study, we have studied how to download the Power BI desktop into your system, how to load through Microsoft Store system, and how to load through by using the Google browser. And what is the advantages that you load from the Microsoft Store system? I've said if any updates have happened, automatically that updates will be captured in when you load with the help of Microsoft Store system. But if you load through the Google browser, what are the updates that are happened till the date will be captured. In the new months, if any innovations are there, you need to reinstall it. That is the Google browser we have discussed. And next, we have installed the Power BI desktop. Then we have studied how to connect to the data. And we have studied how to understand the interface. What is the data pane? How the data and how to see the columns you have seen. And how to create some basic visuals we have seen. Okay, this is the visualization pane. This is the values pane. That means field section. We have seen how to apply some basic filtering. We have seen what is the report view. We have seen what is report canvas. What is the use of this table view? What is the use of this model where you can see the tables? So this is the basic introduction. And the tomorrow class, we'll be going step by step and we'll be starting with the Power Query. And we'll starting with the regular classes and slow by slow, step by step, we'll try to finish the syllabus. Okay. So I'm done with the class. Let me stop the recording. And if you have any doubts, like I'm very happy to. Right, let me stop the recording. Right. Okay. So is it